after you. Let's do the revolting doors. Right, here we go.
Being light and laughing are certainly no problem for British twins Barbara Herbert and Daphne Goodship.
Order for Rich!
Rich! Rich!
Rich!
Rich! Get up! Come and get
I wouldn't know where you found them.
Scientists have dubbed Barbara and Daphne the Giggle twins. And it's easy to understand why.
Oh, look! Oh, look! Oh, there must be one for you.
The way they carry on together, you might assume that these twins have been friends all their lives. But in reality, Barbara and Daphne were separated at birth. Raised by two different families, they were not reunited until 40 years later. And, as you might have guessed,
we were laughing at our first meeting. And we haven't stopped since.
So what is it about these two that makes them so bubbly?
Hurry up, the sun's in my eyes. Don't complain.
Might they be genetically predisposed to being happy? We brought them across the Atlantic here to Eugene, Oregon, in the name of science.
Our interest is, given the fact that you're genetically similar, being twins, will you be similar in terms of your brainwave activity? Will we see similar patterns of brainwave activity? And can this give us a clue into how your brain works and how it relates to emotion?
Dr. Don Tucker at the University of Oregon uses brain mapping to study the emotional structure of our brains.
The technique that we do differently is we put a lot of sensors on the head. Each one will have a sponge in it, and it'll have a little bit of saline. This is salt water, basically, a potassium chloride saline solution. And the salt allows us to make good electrical contact with the skin. Keep your eyes closed for just one moment. Feels kind of drippy, huh?
The twins agree to allow Dr. Tucker and his assistant to attach electrodes to their skulls to find out if they're hardwired for happiness.
Goes in your eyes.
Not painful,
Okay.
but very messy.
The first thing I'll ask you to do is basically sit quietly with eyes closed. And then I would like to have you think about a situation that was pleasant and happy for you. I'll also ask you then at a different point to think about an unpleasant experience. So you can see what our goal is. We want to measure the brain in a resting state while you're just sitting quietly. We want to measure your brain as you're thinking about and remembering a pleasant emotion. And so we're basically going to try to map the electrical fields during a pleasant or positive emotional experience. The same thing with sadness.
With their heads encased in geodesic domes, the twins sat, one at a time in an isolation chamber, while their brain waves were recorded.
Ooh, this is nice.
Dr. Tucker was able to take the twins' EEG data and put it into a computer program, which resulted in a three-dimensional representation of Barbara and Daphne's brainwave patterns. The light areas represent positive electrical activity, and the dark areas represent negative electrical activity.
The alpha wave is an indicator of brain relaxation.
Interestingly, even though they were raised in separate families, it appears that their brainwaves are almost identical.
It's frightening, really, knowing all that's going on inside your head.
It is.
This graph is a representation of brainwave patterns indicating happiness or depression. This is the midpoint here. The average of 200 different test subjects is here. When we asked researchers to see where the twins' data fell on the graph, Daphne was here and Barbara was here, both well into the happy side.
If we were to try to make some inferences about how Barbara and Daphne are able to maintain such positive emotion, I would have to say that they probably have an optimistic emotional bias, something that may be genetic temperament, perhaps, that makes it easy for them to be optimistic and positive.
We're joining in. No, I think it's just natural. We're happy. I don't think anything makes us happy. I think you either are happy or you're not. And as I've said before, it's as natural as breathing to us. It comes naturally. It's doing what comes naturally.